Hello everyone. Today we'll be discussing AppArmor and HTTPS, otherwise known as Hypertext Transfer Protocol Secure. We will also be discussing some hardening recommendations for AppArmor, as well as some web servers, along with some hardening recommendations for those as well. So let's get into it. So first we have AppArmor, and AppArmor is a Linux security utility that essentially allows for an administrator to set rules and restrictions on applications and aspects of a program. This is done in a per program basis to where each program can be different and could have more or fewer restrictions than others. It uses mandatory access control, also known as MAC, to define the rules that either restrict or permit resources available to the users using the program. It also makes profiles of applications, which are almost sort of rule sets that specific applications can have, and it also is able to see what permissions and resources that application requires. It is installed by default on Linux systems. This can be checked by running the following command, AA-status on the Linux command line interface. This command will also provide other useful information such as the number of profiles loaded, the current modes that the loaded profiles are in, such as enforce or complain, and as well as the number of processes that are running and how many of them have profiles defined for them. Now we'll discuss a few AppArmor hardening strategies. The first of which is to ensure profiles are in place for necessary applications. This is basically just stating for applications that are widely used, generally used, or popular, have profiles created for them that either permit or restrict access on certain resource or elements. The reason for this is just that these widely used apps can have potential security risks should they become compromised or misused, so that they need to have profiles for them. The next is to refine and update profiles. This is basically just stating that applications are constantly being updated and having their versions changed and aspects about them changed. So just that while this is happening, we also need to be ensuring that the profiles that AppArmor has in these applications are being updated, coinciding with whatever updates are happening to the applications themselves. Finally, we have analyze log files. This is basically just stating to view and assess traffic for applications to gain information about what files are being used and what resources being used, as well as the traffic on them. And this can be found in the /log/syslog file. Next, we'll discuss HTTPS, or Hypertext Transfer Protocol Secure, which is a secure version of the probably more well-known Hypertext Transfer Protocol, or HTTP. This is a protocol that's used to exchange information between a user and a website. And what the secure version of this protocol does is it encrypts the information that is being sent to increase security. It's able to accomplish this through the use of a protocol known as Transport Layer Security, or TLS. TLS uses asymmetric encryption, where a public key is used by the user wishing to interact with the website, and they have their information encrypted. Then the website uses a private key to decrypt the information. Then the user is able to access the website. The system disallows for sniffing of network traffic that is happening on a website, which is basically just viewing of network packets, which could contain all sorts of information. And the HTTP version did not use this encryption method. Now we will discuss Internet Information Services, or IIS. IIS is a Microsoft web server that provides general web pages or files. It is used a lot in website hosting, logging information about a website, and request filtering, which can detect and reject malicious client requests. IIS is accomplished through the use of a multitude of computing languages and various protocols. The standard elements of a web page are created through hypertext markup language, or HTML. It also uses HTTPS, again, to distribute this information between websites and their clients securely by encrypting the information. File Transfer Protocol Secure is also used. It is like HTTPS to where it encrypts information and transfers it over the internet securely. IIS also works with ASP.NET Core. ASP.NET Core is an example of an active server page, or an ASP, which can dynamically create web applications through HTML scripts. Now we have a couple of IIS hardening strategies. The first is to disable directory browsing, which directory browsing is basically where, through use of hyperlinks, you're able to see the directory structure of a website. So disabling this disallows for potentially malicious users to find information about a website's file and directory locations, and it is able to be disabled through the IIS manager. Next, we have instantiate or referrer policy. So websites that contain links to other websites will send headers when clicked. These information headers can be used by hackers to hijack a website. And so basically what a referrer policy does is it will make the header information only contain a domain name and not a URL. So it can't be hijacked by malicious users. And finally, we have only use hypertext transfer protocol secure connections. And it's basically just to configure to where users that are not using HTTPS cannot access non-secure socket layer elements of your website. So now we'll discuss Apache. And Apache is a web server that predominantly runs on Linux machines, and it is used to transfer information between clients and hosts on the internet. It's a web server basically like Internet Information Services was for Microsoft. It processes requests that are made to websites for things such as files, assets, web content, any elements that you could find on a website. It uses multiple programming languages such as structured query language, which is a database language to store user information, and hypertext processor, or PHP, to create web pages. Apache works by using the traditional TCP/IP stack along with hypertext transfer protocol secure on the public internet to encrypt and secure information. And a configuration file is what determines how Apache completes requests and what IP address is being requested. The software is easily downloadable through the Linux command line interface, along with being able to configure Apache further through the installation of modules which can serve all sorts of purposes or add security measures. Now we just have some Apache hardening strategies. The first of which is to keep software updated. Using the Apache server announcement list, which is an Apache provided documentation, which can keep users updated on all known and new security vulnerabilities and patches for Apache. Next is to ensure permissions for users. After Apache is started by the root account and is switched to the current user, you must configure the system to where the user cannot edit in Apache files. So this is basically just stating that you need to modify if the current user is able to edit the Apache files, which can lead to all sorts of security complications. And finally, we have secure system settings. This prevents the creation of malicious HT access files, which can override security measures on a server. This can be remedied by instantiating an allow override in the configuration file and setting the value to none to prevent the override of the HT access files. And lastly, we have a few references for this presentation.